Imagine having a brain that never takes a break. Every awkward conversation, every mistake, every decision keeps replaying in your mind like a movie you never wanted to watch. While everyone else seems to move on, you're still wondering if you said the wrong thing or made the wrong choice. That's what it feels like to be an overthinker. The biggest challenge isn't always the world around you. It's the constant noise inside your own head. Overthinking often starts with good intentions. Your brain is trying to protect you from making mistakes or getting hurt. Long ago, humans survived because they paid attention to danger. Those who noticed small risks had a better chance of staying alive. Although life has changed, your brain still works in much the same way. Instead of worrying about wild animals, it now worries about job interviews, exams, relationships, money, and what other people think. The problem is that the brain can't always tell the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. If you spend hours imagining the worst possible outcome, your body reacts as though it's actually happening. Your heart beats faster, your muscles become tense, and stress hormones begin to rise. Even though nothing dangerous is happening, your body prepares for battle. Psychologists call one form of overthinking rumination. This happens when you replay the same thoughts repeatedly without finding a solution. You may relive an embarrassing moment from years ago or keep asking yourself, what if I had done something differently? Instead of learning from the experience and moving forward, your mind becomes trapped in an endless loop. One of the hardest parts of overthinking is decision-making. Many people believe that thinking longer leads to better choices. While careful thinking is helpful, there comes a point where more thinking actually makes decisions worse. You begin comparing every possible option, imagining every possible mistake, and trying to predict every future outcome. Eventually, you're so afraid of making the wrong decision that you make no decision at all. This is often called analysis paralysis. Overthinking also affects the way you interpret everyday situations. Imagine you wave at someone and they don't wave back. A relaxed mind might assume they simply didn't notice. An overthinking mind immediately creates dozens of explanations. Did I offend them? Are they angry with me? Did I embarrass myself yesterday? Within seconds, one small event becomes a complicated story filled with fear and doubt. Most of the time, the truth is much simpler than the story your brain creates. Social media has made this even more common. You send someone a message, and they don't reply for an hour. Instead of assuming they're busy, your mind starts creating negative explanations. Maybe they're upset with you. Maybe you said something wrong. Maybe they don't want to talk anymore. Then they finally replied, "Sorry, I was in a meeting." All that stress happened because your imagination filled in the missing information. Sleep is another victim of overthinking. During the day, work, school, and daily activities keep your mind occupied. At night, when everything becomes quiet, your thoughts become louder. Suddenly you're remembering something embarrassing from 5 years ago or worrying about tomorrow's conversation. Your body is lying in bed, but your brain refuses to rest. Poor sleep then makes it even harder to manage emotions the next day, creating a cycle that's difficult to break. Overthinking doesn't only affect your mind, it affects your body too. Constant stress can lead to headaches, muscle tension, fatigue, stomach discomfort, difficulty concentrating, and lower energy levels. Your brain and body are deeply connected. When one suffers, the other usually follows. Ironically, many overthinkers have strengths that others admire. They often notice details that people miss. They're creative, thoughtful, and excellent problem solvers. They care deeply about doing things well and avoiding mistakes. These qualities can be valuable in school, work, and relationships. However, without balance, these strengths become weaknesses. A creative imagination begins imagining disasters. Attention to detail turns into endless worrying. Carefulness becomes fear of taking action. Perfectionism also plays a major role. Many overthinkers believe they must make the perfect decision or say the perfect words. But perfection doesn't exist. Every decision carries uncertainty. Waiting for complete certainty often means waiting forever. Life rewards action, learning, and adaptation, not perfect planning. Another reason overthinking feels so exhausting is because our thoughts aren't always accurate. The human brain naturally focuses more on negative possibilities than positive ones. This helped our ancestors survive dangerous environments, but today it often causes unnecessary anxiety. Just because your brain thinks something doesn't mean it's true. Thoughts are mental events, not fact. One helpful strategy used by psychologists is learning to question your thoughts. Instead of immediately believing every worry, ask yourself, what evidence do I actually have? Often, you'll discover that your fear is based on assumptions rather than reality. This simple habit can interrupt the cycle of overthinking and help you respond more calmly. Mindfulness is another powerful tool. Rather than trying to stop thoughts completely, which is nearly impossible, you learn to observe them without reacting. Imagine your thoughts as clouds passing through the sky. Some are dark, some are light, but none stay forever. You don't have to chase every cloud or believe every thought that appears. Taking action also reduces overthinking. Action gives your brain real information, while overthinking only creates imaginary possibilities. Instead of spending hours worrying about whether you'll succeed, take the first small step. Real experience teaches far more than endless speculation. It's important to remember that overthinking doesn't define who you are. It's simply a habit that your brain has developed over time. Like any habit, it can be managed with patience, awareness, and practice. The goal isn't to stop thinking completely. Thinking helps us learn, solve problems, and make good decisions. The goal is to stop allowing every thought to control you. In the end, the greatest lesson is simple. Your mind is an incredible tool, but it isn't always telling the truth. Sometimes it's trying to protect you by imagining dangers that don't exist. The next time your thoughts begin racing, pause and ask yourself, is this a fact, or is it just a fear? That one question can create enough distance to stop the spiral before it takes over. Being an overthinker can feel exhausting, lonely, and overwhelming. But understanding how your brain works is the first step toward changing your relationship with it. You don't have to silence your mind forever. You only have to remember that not every thought deserves your attention. Sometimes the greatest peace comes not from thinking more, but from finally letting go.